Worried about his girlfriend and just hearing from his best friend that she wasn't answering the door, Kevin decided to go and check on her instead of taking his mum to her party. As they drove to her house, they noticed that her front door was locked. They went round the side of the house and saw that the sliding doors were open. As they entered the house, they were shocked to see her dead on the floor. Hi, my name's Sara Jade and welcome to my channel, where we talk about true crime, solved cases and more. Now let's get on with this week's case. Nona Dirksmeyer was born on the 26th of December 1985 and grew up in Arkansas with her parents Paul and Carol Dirksmeyer. Nona's childhood wasn't very happy, as she reported that her father had sexually abused her. Eventually her parents split up and she moved in with her mother. Things didn't improve though, as her mother married a very strict man, and as a teenager she decided to move out and find her own apartment near the University of Russellville. Nona had always loved music and played the flute, as well as having a beautiful voice. She was in the local choir and wanted to be a music teacher when she grew up. In her teens, Nona was a shy girl and had a close relationship with only a few people. Her friends noticed her beauty and knew she had a beautiful voice, so to get her out of her shell, they entered her into a pageant in 2005. Nona was hesitant at first, but eventually she saw it as a way of telling people about sexual abuse and helping other girls, so she decided to take part. She worked hard with a pageant coach and soon went on to win her first pageant.
Good evening, I'm Nona Dirksmeyer, Miss Pettigene Valley.
Contestant number 30, Miss Pettigene Valley, Nona Dirksmeyer. Nona is the daughter of Carol and Dwayne Dipert. She is a sophomore music education major at Arkansas Tech University. Nona wants others to break the cycle of child abuse through prevention and awareness. She is supported by the volunteers of the Miss Pettigene Valley Scholarship Pageant.
Nona had met her boyfriend at band practice in high school, and they soon were inseparable and started dating. They had a lot of the same interest and loved watching movies together. Kevin also supported her through some of her hard times, and she was very close to his family. Kevin was described as an all-American boy who came from a good family. He was a wrestler in high school and was very smart. He was a devoted boyfriend and had big plans for their future. After high school, Kevin moved away to attend college, but they continued their relationship through a long-distance relationship, sneaking visits when they could. On the 14th of December 2005, Kevin had drove down to see Nona and spend the evening with her, but he had to leave around midnight as he was driving down to Dover to spend Christmas with his parents. Nona had been volunteering for a company called Big Sister and had planned to meet one of the girls the next day, but she failed to turn up. Kevin had also texted her that morning after receiving an early message from her, but hadn't heard back from her. And in the 4.5 years they had been together, she'd always text back, so he started to become worried. He decided to ring a close friend that lived nearby to her and asked him if he could just go and knock and see if she was okay, while he went to drive his mum to a Christmas party at the library where she worked. On the way to the Christmas party, Kevin had heard back from his friend, and he told him he'd knocked on the door but heard no reply from Nona. Kevin had decided to go down and check on her and take his mother with him. When they arrived at the house, the door was locked, so he decided to go round the back. He noticed the sliding doors were open, and when they went inside, they saw Nona lying dead, naked on the floor. He ran over to her and started compressions, but it was too late. She was gone. Nona had been stabbed and beaten to death, and her throat had been cut. She had been hit so hard, she had bruising on her brain. Kevin's mum rang the police straight away.
Her name is Nona Dirksmeyer. Nona Dirksmeyer.
And soon they turned up to the scene. They noticed that Nona had been beaten to death by a lamp that lay by her side, and there was an empty condom wrapper on the side. Although Nona was naked and she was only wearing a white pair of socks, they believed she didn't look like she'd been raped, so no tests were done. As with many police investigations, they decided to interview the people closest to her first, so they brought Kevin in for questioning. He denied being involved, and even though he was distraught, he said he would take a polygraph. They soon came back and told Kevin he had failed the polygraph, but he continued to deny his involvement. He became stressed and angry through the interview, but they had little to hold him on, so had to let him go.
Be willing to take a polygraph so that we could get to the bottom of,
100%.
Get you off my radar.
I'll do anything that you guys want me to do.
Okay.
I'll do a DNA test. I'll do anything.
Okay.
Whatever you guys tell me to do, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Kevin, there's no doubt in my mind that you killed her. I don't know if you killed her because she was mad,
No,
or you was mad.
check everything. Please check everything.
Kevin, there is no doubt in my mind. Kevin, you have to realize, I've been doing this for over 20 years.
I know you have. That's why I'm so scared. Please, check everything. Check everybody that was with me.
Kevin, I want you to tell me what happened.
I will tell you exactly what happened.
Tell me exactly what happened.
I did not kill her. You checked everybody I was with. You have... How? How can you be telling me that I did this when I have somebody I was with? You guys can check everybody I was with. You know where I was every single point of the day. There were people with me every single point of the day. They know I did not do this.
It wasn't long, however, when on the 31st of March 2006, they arrested Kevin for her murder. The police believe Kevin and Nona's relationship had become strained through their long-distance relationship, and Nona had started seeing other men. They believed Kevin was a narcissist and became enraged when he turned up on the 14th of December and found the condom wrapper on her side. They believed they had an argument that night and he had left, and decided the next morning he was going to kill her. Nona had texted Kevin that morning, just saying good morning, but no one had heard from her since. And he had sent her a strange message saying, "Are you still alive?" After waking up late, around 9:30, they believed he left his house around 10:30, where a witness had seen him outside his house. He then drove down to Nona's house, killed her and left at 11:15 before driving home. They believed that he'd faked being worried to his mum and set it up so that his mum and his friend were there when he found Nona. As he went into the house, he went straight over to Nona and contaminated the scene, making it so they couldn't use any evidence they found on him. The most damning evidence they had was a bloody handprint on the lamp that belonged to Kevin.
I asked you point blank, did you touch the lamp? Point blank. I used those words. Did you touch the lamp?
I said no.
You said no. There's a bloody print on the bulb of the lamp, and it's yours.
So if the bulb was connected to the lamp, there's a bloody print of the bulb connected to the lamp that was laying on the ground, and it's mine?
Without a doubt.
That's impossible.
Without a doubt, it is your print. The only way that print could have got there was in the process of the crime. That is the only way. And it's yours. It's not a past print. It's not my print. It's not anybody else's print. I've had 2 fingerprint experts look at it. 2. Okay? 2. That's how sure I am.
I can honestly tell you, I never remember touching that lamp. Do you know what it's like? Do you know what it's like to walk in and find the only girl you love dead on the floor?
I know. No, I don't.
You don't know?
No, I don't.
Do you know?
No.
Do you know what kind of shock hits somebody? Do you know? I told you the past 6 days have been a blur to me. I don't remember what day it is today.
Your print got put there when she was hit with the lamp.
No! Because I didn't do it! 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 Some scumbag did this to my girlfriend, and I wanted to put in jail for it, and I didn't do it. Did it ever occur in your mind that maybe that maybe he touched it and he didn't remember? Did that ever occur in your mind? Did that ever occur in your mind? Maybe he touched the lamp and he didn't remember? Maybe when I swung the door open? I don't know. But people, every single person who was with me that day can tell you I was with them. And I want to know one thing. I know after the autopsy they can tell a time of death. I know that much. When do you think this occurred? Can you tell me a time?
You tell me.
I don't know.
You were there.
I was not there. And you guys are trying to tell me I'm in denial. But I don't, and God himself knows that I'm not, and Nona knows that I'm not in denial. And every person out there who knows me knows that I'm not in denial. And they know that somebody else did it. And you guys have that one fingerprint on that lamp. And everybody says I didn't touch it. And I didn't even think I touched it. But how could I have done this if I was with these people every point of the day? How could I have done this if you can go to one person and say, somebody saw me within 5 minutes of each other every point of the day?
You have given us time frame, time after time, all right? It's not matching up with what everybody else is saying at all.
Can you tell me what they were saying then? I'm just so curious, because
Here's the deal, Kevin, you know. You know. Plain and simple.
No,
you know.
No,
you were there.
No, I wasn't there. No, I did not do this to my girlfriend. No, I did not. No, I did not. No, I did not.
Are you going to start being honest about this?
I'm honest. And I'm honest, and I did not kill my girlfriend. I did not kill her. And I don't know who did. But it was not me. It was not me. I swear to God it was not me. I swear to God it was not me.
What do you think God wants you to do? Let me ask you that. What do you think he wants you to do?
God knows what happened.
You're exactly right. God does know.
And God knows that it wasn't me. God knows that it wasn't me. And you guys, I had 100% faith that you guys would catch who did this. And now I don't.
And the interrogation footage from the police station, which showed how angry he could get. Kevin was arrested and charged with murder, and his trial was set. During the run-up to the trial, there was an uproar within the community, and loads of signs popping up saying justice for Nona. Kevin's family believed these signs made Kevin look guilty, so they decided to move his trial to Ozark. However, as the defence started to tell their side of the story, things started to unravel. As per the prosecutor's statement, Kevin was seen by a plumber at 10:30 at his house. He was then seen by his own grandmother at 11:30 at their family garage. She stood as a witness and told the court she had seen him there on that day and she had given him some money. This showed that he didn't have enough time to leave his house at 10:30 and be at the garage by 11:30 and in between kill Nona. They also argued that he had no cuts or bruises on any part of his body, which would have been strange as Nona would have fought back. They also noted that this was Mark Frost's first homicide investigation and there was a lot of pressure to charge someone. They believed they didn't investigate the case properly and had their eyes on Kevin from the start. This was proven when they looked at the evidence from the crime scene. The only fingerprints that were taken were around the area of Nona's body. There was blood found on the door frames and the blinds, but none of this was fingerprinted, and no fingerprints were taken of the condom wrapper. They also found another set of palm prints on the lamp that had never been identified. They also noted that his mum, his friend and the paramedic had been at the scene, and they also contaminated the scene. After analysing Kevin's polygraph, an expert claimed that the questions were designed to make Kevin fail, and they were also skewed as Kevin was under distress after just seeing his girlfriend dead on the floor. This could also account for his behaviour during the interview and why he was so distressed. Kevin was eventually found not guilty of murder and acquitted of all charges in 2007. Although he was relieved to be acquitted, he eventually sued the police for wrongful conviction, as his family had gone into financial debt trying to save their son. Kevin reported how they ignored evidence that could have exonerated him straight away and led to the real killer. After being cleared of Nona's murder, and although his family had spent all their money defending him, Kevin's father asked their investigators to still continue investigating the case. They had been tipped off by another investigator, telling them to look into a guy called Gary Dunn, who was a suspect in a recent robbery. Gary William Dunn was married with 2 children and was seen as a loving family man. He was originally brought in for questioning at the beginning of the case as he lived opposite Nona. He passed his polygraph and had an alibi for that day. He said he'd gone shopping with his mum and hadn't been home when Nona was killed. But as they started to investigate Gary, more information came to light. Gary was married to Jennifer Dunn, and she reported that he liked rough sex and was turned on by fear. There were times when he had tried to choke her or put a pillow over her face. She had also reported that she had caught Gary hanging around Nona's house in the middle of the night. Nona had loved cats, and Gary used this as a way of speaking to her. They also looked into Gary's past and found out that he was on parole while living opposite Nona. He had just served 6 years for battery charges. In 2002, a young girl was running through Bonady Trails in Russellville when she ran past Gary sitting on a bench. The trail curved round to the right, and she started to hear footprints running behind her. As she turned round, she saw Gary running towards her with a tree branch over 2 foot long. She started to run away, but eventually he was able to catch up with her and started beating her across the head with the log and saying to her, "I'm going to kill you." She managed to escape and run back to her car for help, and Gary was eventually convicted of battery charges. Gary's original alibi was that he'd been shopping with his mum on the day that Mona had died. However, after investigation into the receipts and looking through the archives of the shop, they found out that he had actually gone shopping on the 13th, 2 days before Nona was killed. They were finally able to test his DNA against the condom wrapper, and it matched. He was finally charged in 2008, 1 year after Kevin was exonerated. They believed Gary had been stalking Nona and watching her from across the street. That morning they believed he had returned her cat and she had let him in. He then made an advance on her, and when she turned him down, he got angry and killed her. However, due to the poor investigation and lack of evidence, although he was tried twice, both trials came back as hung jury, and Gary was let go as a free man due to lack of evidence. Later on, Gary went to attack more women in the area. He tried to get a lady into the car in his parking lot before she managed to run away. There was also another attempted kidnapping at the Arkansas University, where he tried to get a young girl into a car, but he fled the scene when she called 911. Both girls were able to describe Gary and his car, and he was eventually arrested. He eventually pleaded no contest to attempted kidnapping and indecent exposure, and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Due to Gary already serving time, they never tried him again for Nona's murder, and her family still haven't received justice. Kevin's lawsuit was eventually dismissed due to the statute of limitations. He went on to marry and became a criminal defence lawyer, practising in Russellville. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to check out another one of our videos here. Thank you for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.
You call me a saint, but you know I'm a stranger, a willing and able.